Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey series. And let's get started, one story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link. On July 4th, 1962, I found myself in the lost and found of mankind. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that it wants to be there. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that the person who lost it doesn't care for that lost item.
You are writing moments that people will learn from, grow from, and heal through for thousands of years. Together, we are co-authoring a unique moment in time. That DNA, those fingerprints, they're going to be gone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But it is your story that they will tell for thousands of years, but only if you leave it. Things that do not serve you must go. The longer you wait, the more time you give them to trick you into serving them. 22 homes in foster care, everything I wore as a scar, as a shame, things that started like Velcro on my spirit. After just a few months, then years, then decades, I had believed myself into believing that they were indelible tattoos. Sometimes we have to be broken down to appreciate the view once we start getting up. I want you to leave this place and know that you have been changed. Why? How do I know it's true? Because each of you has just changed.
sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind. But you walk right past me, pretending like you don't see what's yours for the taking tonight.
That is not the alarm that is going off in our guest's home as we speak. That is the bell of purpose telling you to wake that ass up. That's right. Get up, get ready, get set, and let's go. Let's go, everybody. Hey, it is a Tuesday morning, a bit hazy here in the Chicago area. They say some of that smoke from, where's that place that's burning? Canada, somewhere. Anyway, we have warnings about, hey, what's going on back there? I'm small. Come on, blow it up. There we go. That's weird looking back there. Hi, me. So anyway, welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I am bathrobe-less because, in the summertime, all right, I like to try to get my sexy on. Anyway, no, because it's too hot. So I'm just excited to be here because, hey, every day above ground is a great day. Can I get an amen? Go ahead and drop it in the comments along with where you are. Wait a minute. Okay. And do this. Come on now. We want to be of service to each other, right? So share this out because I have a fantabulous, fantastic and fabulous, in case you couldn't figure it out, guest on the show today. Her name is Tilsa Fernandez, and we got a lot to get into today. But before we do, yes, the bell of purpose is in full effect, as always, every day here on Bathrobe Moments. It's not a gimmick. It's not just a show prop. I like to refer to it as an opportunity, a reminder, if you will, that the truth, just like that bell, well, yep, it has a ring to it. So when I ring it, it's because something good's going on. There's some truth out there. I know we're busy, multitasking and doing a whole bunch of stuff, but never, ever, ever, never should we become so busy that we miss the truth. Can I get an amen? Put it in the comments. And also, this time, welcome to the show, my sidekick. She's my version of Ed McMahon. She's been here all 6 years, every day. Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. I love me some Lucy. So anyway, today I am eating as always because it's a morning show. I've got my Cheerios with bananas, not to be confused with somebody's grandmama. Delicious. And speaking of delicious, I had to go out and come all the way back in. Comcast/Xfinity, and I'm not scared to say your name. You don't. See what they're doing? So what that is something that does not serve us trying to get up in here today. I rebuke you. Going somewhere. Be gone, be gone, be gone. I turned the internet off and turned it back on. Okay, 2 bars out of 3, not bad. But anyway, look, trick no good, things that do not serve us, trying to come up here. She's got, Tilsa's got alarms going off, so she's got a broadcast from the car. Then they're going to try to come up here and mess with it. Look, I don't care. I was going to say if I have to go outside and do smoke signals, but there's already enough of that out there, clearly. So anyway, we're going to make it work today. Who is here? Her name is Tilsa Fernandez. She is a lot of things, but the reason I want to talk to her today, first of all, there's this goddess piece, y'all, right? Do you know any goddesses? Well, you will now. And she is an officiant. And so before I get her in here, I wanted to, I was going to find a little something to kind of kick it off. So I found this little thing about what to do, how to find yourself the perfect officiant. It's just a minute or so long, but let's take a look. Okay.
My name is Barbara Esses, and I do events for a living.
I'm Ruthie Heck.
Oh, do you?
I'm an event planner, and I work with and for my mother. We're going to teach you the do's and don'ts for the perfect wedding.
Perfect.
When choosing an officiant for your wedding, you can have a judge, a priest, a rabbi, or even one of your friends who applied online. If you find an officiant that you love, especially if they're a religious official, there might be some concessions, but it's definitely worth it. You want somebody who's going to speak at your ceremony, and you won't be rolling your eyes.
Oh, God,
sometimes,
baby,
if there are two different religions getting married, you have a rabbi and a priest. Make sure that they get along as well. It's beautiful to incorporate the traditions of both the bride and groom in the ceremony, so definitely do so if you can. Make sure that they're licensed to marry you in your state. Otherwise, your marriage won't be legal, and you have to do this all over again.
Can you
also
imagine?
remember that cruise boat captains are definitely authorized to marry you at sea. It's quite easy for one of your friends to become an officiant online, but just make sure that they're really into it. You don't want one of your friends fumbling through the ceremony. It's important that whoever is officiating your ceremony, if they're going to speak, can speak well. 3 to 5 minutes should be enough time for your priest to talk about you and how wonderful you are as a couple. More than that will just bore your guests, and you don't want to be standing there that long anyway. Whoever is presiding over your ceremony should ask for your input, but don't ask them to go over their speech in advance. More than that will just bore your guests, and you don't want to be standing there that long anyway.
Got that
So those
right.
are some tips on picking your officiant.
Well, that was nice, quick, painless, and easy. So let's get her in here. Put your hearts on the screen. It's our virtual way of applauding, rolling out the red carpet, and just saying, hey, girl, we're glad you're here. Here she comes, Tilsa Fernandez. Good morning from the car.
Good morning. I'm so excited. I feel like all these messages are going to be coming through us on this show. And there's all this little, trying to intervene our divine messages that we are going to be spreading. But fear not.
I'm used to it.
Because I'm pivoting. I'm like, listen, all these alarms are going off in my home. I'm coming to the car, and that is it. And then Xfinity,
Right.
of course.
So if you're out there and you were thinking of robbing Tilsa's house, today might not be that day. They'll catch you before you even get close. So, listen, how you feeling this morning?
I am feeling super excited. Like, I've been looking forward to coming on ever since we connected last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been like this exciting vibe that I got. Like, oh my God, a brother from another mother. Like, oh my God, I just can't, you know what they say is like your soul, your vibe attracts your tribe. And I feel like as I continuously evolve, I start meeting people through mutual friends, and it's just been very abundantly beautiful.
I love that term, abundantly beautiful. You guys, how do you feel about abundantly beautiful? Put it in the comments. Now, I like to do a little thing, Tilsa, where I pop out for just 30 seconds or so and allow the guests to kind of create their own vibe with the audience. And I didn't really do a bio for you. So why don't you just take this time and introduce yourself, tell people where you are in the world, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, and then I'll come back in and we'll officially get started. How's that sound?
Sound like
all right.
plan.
It's all you. Take it away.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone who has been tuning in to kind of, be a part of this. But my name is Tilsa Fernandez. I'm the owner and founder of Divine Yoni Goddess and Divine Wedding Vows. So I am not only an efficient, but also a spiritual coach. So you are probably thinking like, how do those both even collide? And to be honest, like I birthed Divine Yoni Goddess out of my own adversity. And I learned the power of love. I learned the power of forgiveness through my own adversity. And at the same time, I was also being an efficient. So I combined both to provide that healing modality. I hold a space for two loving souls to come together and unite in marriage. And it is my belief that if you have couples that are together who are healed and loving one another, that affects a 6-block radius. And that is the only way that you can abolish crime, hate, and all these things that are not good to our higher self. So that is it's not a little seed to the universe, but this is one thing that I am consistently working on. And I know that those couples that I bring together, I'm doing shamanic healing on them. So they are coming and uniting together as a couple whole, not halves, but they're both full individuals who are healed, who are coming and embracing one another so they can in turn start releasing all of that love into universe.
Wow. I'm feeling like a slacker just because we got married with our minister who we love. Hi, Pastor Lori. Hi. And yeah, we had a woman marry us, and she's a dear friend, and she was just perfect. But let's go back to let's talk about your origin story if we could.
Absolutely.
Leading up. Now, you know a lot about the twin spirit and soulmates and all that. You have how many children?
I have 7 children.
That's so funny. It sounded like she said 7, right? You must have said something about heaven.
7.
The actual number 7?
The actual number 7, yes.
7 birthed children.
Yes, 7 birth children that are myself and, my ex-partner.
Yeah. So do you have any twins?
I do not. I have Irish twins. So they were born within, 11 months apart from each other, but no twins.
Oh. So so you know a little thing about unconditional love and all of that. So let's start with the Yoni goddess part.
Awesome. So
I've never heard of that. What is it?
So Yoni symbolizes our womb. As women, we are force fields of creation. We create and give birth to life, ideas, and of course we manifest the same way how we manifest good things. We are power manifestors and manifesting bad things as well. So when our wombs, our yonis are out of a balance, or if we're holding on ancestral trauma, because we hold that in our wombs, okay?
It's a big one.
Yep. We're holding all of that energy within our wombs. So imagine you're holding all that ancestral trauma, all these things that happen in your lineage. And then you're giving birth, right, to more children. And if you are not healed, you're also co-creating more of that trauma. So as a divine Yoni goddess, I do specialize in womb healing because it is my belief, as I started learning about shamanism and converting into it, is that we have all that energy there. And the same way how we can hold all that, harness all of that trauma, we can also heal that. So we can start living our lives being the best versions of ourselves, but also impacting our families. As mothers, we are healers. We are natural born healers. And we don't talk a lot about that. We don't talk about let's take time for us as women. We're in this society where I see a lot of little faces popping in, where we're hustle mindset, right? Plow through it. And absolutely not. As women, we are manifestors. We are divine goddesses, and we need to start embodying that. We need rest, first and foremost. And we need to do a lot of self-care rituals. So I'm trying to create, that's what I'm doing, creating this community of women who are accepting that we need help, right? First and foremost, we need help. And we need to be open and receptive to receiving that help too, because sometimes we're so into, and I know, and I speak from my personal experience. Like, I used to be that boss babe, like, get it done and that's it. But was I honoring myself when I was tired? Was I taking that extra hour nap? Absolutely not. I was operating out of an empty cup. Now I operate out of a halfway full cup. I pour into myself before I start pouring into my children in the morning. So these are rituals that I'm consistently doing, but I'm also teaching other women that it's okay to be tired too. It's okay to take time off if you are working on this massive project and things aren't coming, they aren't coming to full fruition, because most of the time we are operating out of, like, now we're hating this project that we're working at, instead of embracing, like, okay, take a moment, take a step back and evaluate, like, did I get enough sleep?
Yeah.
Did I honor myself? Did I have any self-care? And instead of saying, like, I have to do this, no, I choose to do this from love. And
From love.
when you consistently start pouring love into yourself, when you take care of Mama Bear is able to pour into everyone else.
Okay, let me get something out on the table early, because I don't want people to click off thinking, well, first of all, I'm a man, so she doesn't have anything she can share with me because I don't have a womb. Or what about those women who, or females, let's just say, who are not yet womb ready? So like young girls or older women that have gone through menopause, where a womb isn't a big deal anymore. Like, for instance, let's start with the woman part, and then let's switch over to the guy part. So let's say an older woman is tuning in who is 70. Can she grow, learn, heal, whatever, through anything you're
Absolutely.
going to talk about here today? Explain that.
Absolutely. So we're, as women, we're born with this. Now, we don't actually have to physically have our wombs. These are impressions that we have. DNA, we are born with it. Some, depending on, hey, if you had a hysterectomy, you still have that impression of your womb. Now, we're all birthed, male or female, we are all birthed from a womb. So we are all connected, regardless if you're male or female, we're connected via the womb. That is where all of us come to this world, So it's really important that not only for women, I do specialize a little bit more with women, obviously, because it is my background as being a mom, as different stages of being a mom, being a teen mom versus being a mom in my 20s, and what I've realized is that we all go through the same struggle as mom, whether or not you choose to be a young mom or later on in life, the struggles are still the same. You're still going through the same postpartum, you're still going through the same emotional aspects. The only thing is you have a little bit more money and you're a little bit more stable when you're older. Can you work through all those things? Absolutely, you can. You could be a teen mom and still be a great mom to your children.
Sure.
But it all begins with self-awareness and tools. And sometimes when you're a teen parent, you don't have those tools. We don't know about the law of attraction. We don't know about these. And I literally stumbled on the law of attraction through a very good friend of mine, Christina Smith, who kind of introduced me to it. And I was not open to it at the time. And eventually, as I began my healing version,
Christina Smith lives over on Arbuckle Street. I'm kidding. I do that all the time. Got her. Okay. But so wait, okay, and I got another joke. Do you know why Mary did not birth Jesus in the hotel in town?
No.
Because there was no womb in the end. I just made that up. I'm probably gonna get struck. I was just kidding, you guys. Don't hit me. So listen, let's okay. We're gonna come back to the womb part. But you said something I had never heard of, a term, shamanism. Now, I've heard of shamans and things, but I didn't know, is that like a religious, some type of a religion?
It's a spiritual practice.
Practice.
Yes. So I'm Mexican and Puerto Rican, so it's engraved in our culture, obviously, to be more attuned with earth, instead of so this is what I will say, like, most of our health problems actually begin in our auric field. And eventually, if we don't take action towards that, we start manifesting them in physical problems. So in shamanism is all about going within the journey. Like, where did we become those co-creators in that and breaking that? Sometimes it's ancestral, sometimes it's trauma that we physically went through as children, but it's going and diving through the underworld, the lower world, the middle world, and the higher world, and learning where those where that trauma, where those triggers are coming from. So I literally, as I began going to therapy, and it's funny because I began my healing journey thinking that I was the problem, that I needed help and I needed to endure more. And my therapist told me, well, what do you mean you need to endure more? I'm like, well, isn't this what everyone goes through? And she's like, absolutely. What makes you think that? And of course we started diving through, well, this is like culturally acceptable, doesn't everyone go through this? She's like, absolutely not, but I want you to do your research. And in doing my research, as I was going through therapy, doing my own independent research, and then also journaling of who I wanted to become in the future, I've literally started manifesting all of that through obviously therapy and taking action too. If a relationship, a person, or a thing is not in alignment with who you want to become or who you're passionate, once you see what your gifts are, if your situations and our surroundings are not in alignment with that, you need to take action to either create boundaries or remove yourself from there. Once you realize that it's no longer a part of you, you need to take action. And in doing so, if you're a mother, you're also affecting your children. So what message are you giving your children if you are not living your highest self? What message? You are teaching your children that it is okay to be part of abusive relationships. It is okay to accept less than.
So the ancestral part, that's really interesting. So what are some suggestions for people to start the process of uncovering what could be ancestral / generational trauma, curses? You hear that a lot. And do you
Absolutely.
believe that they are curses? I know the Bible says something like that about the sins of the father, this and the other. So I do believe it's a real thing. Is this the sort of thing that starts with a trip to ancestry.com? Or where do people, without resources, how does a person start to figure that piece out, that it could have been ancestral?
That is actually a great question. So a few things that I would suggest that I've done myself is like, evaluate the pattern of your family members, your mom, your grandmother. Are there same patterns that are being manifested again? Is that, generational? If it's generational, that's most likely an ancestral trauma that's within that family. So it's like really evaluating your life and also evaluating your family, dynamic.
But
Um,
But what
are the
about a person? I'm sorry, but what about a person? Because it popped right into my forefront because I was adopted. So what about a
Absolutely.
person who doesn't have access to their biological lineage?
That is a great question. For that, there are different healers that can actually tap into your ancestral through diving through the lower world, underworld, especially when you're having a session, and you're in tune and your healer is holding space for you and they're able to dive down. Like, there are certain times where I've done healings on individuals where they don't have the capabilities of knowing all these things. And the healer can go in there, whether they're a medium, whether they are psychic, or they have a combination of different modalities. So I always encourage, like, I know a lot of folks will say like, oh, I like to stick to one healer that only practices one practice. It's really good to get a healer that's diverse in different modalities because they can help you uncover different things in your life. Sometimes you may dream about it too. You have that imprintation, and then your healer goes in and tells you, like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Have you seen this before? And I often tell people, like, don't divulge too much information. Allow the healer to give you information. And sometimes it makes no sense to the healer. I'll tell you, I've done healing sessions where I'm like, listen, I'm seeing this little girl dressed in a pink dress. She's scared in a closet and she's mortified. And and to me it makes no sense, right? And I'm telling my mentee this, and they're like, well, actually that did happen when I was a little girl. I don't know if it actually happened to me or it happened to a family, but I have vivid dreams about that. Okay, that's trapped trauma. What you can also trapped trauma also manifests in its physical body. So let's just say there was maybe you were hit as a child and there's this deep impression and you have this pain in your leg that's consistently there. And okay, you've gone to the doctor, right? And evaluated, like, is this, do I have something there? There's nothing wrong. Okay, now let's dive deeper. Let's do a healing session to kind of uncover what is that. And a lot of times it's trapped trauma in that area. So we provide healing, we hold space, provide healing, and we do a release ceremony to remove that. And a lot of times my mentees are like, well, I no longer have hip pain. I no longer have this weird pain that I had here, and that's where I like to encompass the chakra sound, the chakra tuning forks, the sound healing. There are two different bases that I use. I use the audio ones, which kind of zaps your aura where it needs to be. And then the weighted ones that are used on the physical body to help break up that trauma, to release. And of course, I will say, like, healing is not an easy kumbaya, you go through this dark side of the soul and you're crying and all of these things are coming to the surface, but that's part of healing. That's part of it. So it's embracing the ugly and the pretty too.
Both. Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. I do. And it's interesting because my husband has been having some kind of a pain in his lower back. And I'm shocked because when we met, he was not a believer at all, but he's grown over the last 8 years. And he's currently going to, which I never would have thought, right here in Naperville, to a chiropractor who combines what he learned in chiropractic school with healing, energy healing, and whatnot. And I'm shocked that my husband is, and he keeps going back. So, and he says it is getting better, So for those of you out there that might have something that they just can't find, they meaning traditional medicine, you might want to consider. There's so many options: Western medicine, Native American, just all over. People with a deep, deep, abiding respect for their history. So speaking of history, earlier in the interview, you mentioned that you are Spanish and two. You said, what were the two combinations?
Mexican and Puerto Rican.
Mexican and Puerto Rican. Now, here's what I want to ask you here. A lot of people, especially nowadays, are a little ambivalent, hesitant, if you will, to try new things, also known as, in a lot of circles, woo-woo. And not because they are inquisitive and want to try themselves, but because they can't talk about it around family members and things, because a lot of us, in the Black community, Baptist and that's the devil, and then, in the Spanish world, a lot are Catholic and very devout Catholics. And so what about that in your own experience when you started dipping into these spiritual realms? Did you get any pushback from the people closest to you? Talk about that.
Oh my goodness. Pushback, more like exiled.
Oh.
So I was born and raised Catholic, and I was a very devout Catholic woman, totally respected religion, but I found a lot of times that the preaching and the practices were more to make women submissive and take abuse. Because if there was something going wrong in the relationship, it was most likely your fault because you didn't do something right. Right? Spirituality gives you the tools so you can make a decision. So within therapy and along with diving into my spirituality, I learned that if it doesn't feel good, even if you're at church and everyone's telling you like you have, and let me tell you, I stayed in a long-term relationship. My first boyfriend, I had 7 children with him. We did get married, and it was beautiful. It definitely was beautiful. When the times were good, the times were absolutely good. But recognizing when it's getting abusive and putting up boundaries, So it was a shock to the community because we were very involved in it was called like células, like cells, like different pods within our Catholic church
Yeah,
where yeah.
yeah. I have a Spanish trainer, and he's always referring to that. Oh, my brother is in my, there's a name for it. And
Mhm.
I'm like, what? What is that? And he says, the group that
Right,
they
the
all, yeah,
cells.
yeah. But I did not know that existed.
Yes. So within that group, obviously you're talking to one another, you're teaching Bible verses and whatnot. And as I began to find my voice, as I began to go to therapy and learning, and I was always very outspoken with something didn't really like me. But when it came down to my family, I was always like, I want to keep my family together because I don't want to repeat generational cycles. Right. And I learned that I actually manifested my father again, so that's another conversation. But anyways, to get back to your point, yes, I mean, I did get a lot of pushback. I was told that I was a witch, and I still get told like, you're a bruja, and it's like, am I really? Am I really? Is it because I'm seeing things, the reality of things now, because I'm teaching now to guide, to trust yourself, because your spiritual guides are always there, your ancestors are always there. They're not all great, right? But they're there to guide you, not to mess you up. And I feel like religion kind of like puts a blindfold
Blinders.
on you, and you
Yeah.
have to believe and put the blinders. And even if it's causing you harm, you must believe and stay on that path. And that
It's,
is not what spirituality is all
yeah,
about.
it's very limiting when it comes to choice.
Yes.
What's right for you, whether it feels right or not. Do what we say and not what you want, kind of deal. I agree.
Exactly.
I agree. So here we are. So okay, you now are doing all these things. You're in the midst of your own awakening, and of
Hmm.
course, when we do find those things and we become authorities on them, and we've lived through something, the next piece is to automatically feel that universal pull to share it with others. So, and you just can't hold it in, and nor should you.
Right.
So, definitely a great point right there. So then did someone, like in the clip, did someone say, hey, Tilsa, will you marry us? And you went online and became ordained. How
That
did you
is a
find
funny
your way?
story. That is such a funny story. So my
Tell us.
friend, Jocelyn Roz from Officiants on Demand, she started her own officiating company, and she's like, "Hey, girl, I need a bilingual officiant." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I could help you find one, right?" And she's like, "No, I need you to do it." And I told her, "Absolutely not." So she invited me to a wedding, and she's like, "I need help. I need help. I need help with this. Can you just come and just help me?" And I told, "Oh, sure." So I show up, and she's like, "By the way, this is a Spanish wedding and I need you to execute it." I almost died. I was such a quiet, introverted person that honestly, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to die. I hope there's like a hurricane that passes through and takes me." But then I did it, and oh my God, like everyone came over and started complimenting me. And of course, I couldn't let my girlfriend down. And then after that, I literally grew a love for officiating. But the funny thing is, during my divorce, I was absolutely like, I'm like, "Why are you getting married?" It was a form of generating income during my divorce during the most difficult times. And I also felt like a hypocrite to a certain extent, because I'm like, how is it that I'm holding space for these couples and I am actually getting a divorce? So,
Oh.
but the universe, this is how the divine works. The universe was giving me clients, giving me couples that went through prior divorce, because I didn't think when I was going through my divorce process, I'm like, listen, I had to make a choice. I'm either going to stick with this situation, or I'm going to leave and be at peace. So I had to learn how to pick my poison. That was first and foremost. Pick your
Mm.
poison. Either it's going to be hard. My health was deteriorating. I was hemorrhaging about 20 days out of the whole month. And that's when I learned that
Wow.
your divine Yoni will not allow anything to enter your body if it's not for you, and your health will start deteriorating if you're in relationships that you're not. But anyways, getting back to the officiating part. So I started getting couples that were on their second marriage, blended families. So I started seeing things that I didn't see before, because I was at this, if you can only imagine a Catholic girl who's only been with one man her entire life, who's birthed 7 children within that relationship. So my mindset was very, very limited. I will tell you, like, people that know me will tell you I'm not the same person. I'm not the same person at all. Very introverted and very like gotta do things the right way all the time, which I still do, but now I trust myself. But anyways, so I'm getting all these couples, and of course I would interview them first, and it's like, okay, well, this is now your second marriage, what are tools that you're using? And at that point I was aware about telling everyone, like, please go to therapy before you have marital problems. Therapy is not when, you should definitely get therapy, but therapy is not a mental intervention all the time. Therapy is making sure that you're learning how to express yourself sometimes. And you need to begin in the early stages of your marriage, not when it's too late. When it's too late, it's like, now we need to learn how to be amicable.
It's like tilling the soil in case you ever need to plant.
Exactly.
Right.
So then
and I just want to say this. I love that idea. And I think, because a lot of people don't even give a second thought to a prenup, which is the same sort of preventative measure, but not something that the therapy part doesn't mean it's just because a prenup is, in case we break up. No, the other one is so that we don't break up. And so I love that. I really love that. Go on.
Absolutely. So the universe gives you what you need. Okay. Let me just tell you, the universe gives you what you need. I wasn't getting clients that just wanted to get married. I was getting clients like, I want this is my second or third marriage, and I want this to be my forever. We've gone through all this, and I'm hearing their stories. Women who were abused in like narcissistic relationships, where I was able to, like, honestly, bond with them a little bit. And I wouldn't tell them like, hey, by the way, I'm going through a divorce. I was just listening, and it's like, oh my God, like, I'm like, wow, the universe is giving me a portal to see my future. Like, wow.
I get it.
So I'm consistently getting these couples, and I've gone through this, men were going through abuse, and, and it's like, I was also able to see, like, where was I at fault in my relationship as well? Because sometimes when we're in that victim, sometimes when you're in that victim mentality, we're like, oh my God, it was so horrible. What did I do myself? What pieces did I contribute to that? Because I'm also at fault too. So I was able to start shifting my therapy, connecting with the divine, and also shifting into this, oh my God, the possibilities. I literally left thinking I would never get married. I will never be in a relationship. And I was totally fine with that. I was totally fine with that. That's a limited mindset though. And through doing my weddings, I was able to see through my couples, like, oh my God, like, once I heal and I'm ready, I'm going to attract that divine masculine that's going to match with my energy. And of course, as I began evolving in my studies, I received my Moon IQ rights. I learned about all the chakra systems. I learned about ancestral trauma. And as I'm evolving as a spiritual person, I'm also evolving as an officiant, as a minister, to provide that extra layer of protection for my couples. Now, I will tell you this. The couples that I interview, I will not marry all my couples. If I feel as a spiritual person, if I feel that there are some ancestral traumas that they need to fix before marrying, I will send them over to counseling. I'm like, hey, these are 2 paths that you could take. You could take a spiritual path, or you could go get therapy. Once the therapist gives you that seal of approval where you've done your pre-marriage counseling, come back. My couples have never come back. They're like, you know what? Thank you so much, because you saved me from entering a relationship that we weren't even ready for.
Wow.
So I personally, if I do not feel that the couple needs to get married, hey, these are options that you could take, but a lot of times I already know intuitively that this is not going to work.
Do
I
you
already
always
know.
speak up on it, or do sometimes you just reserve judgment?
No, I always speak up on it because that's part of like my branding as divine wedding vows is it's a divine connection. That's why I
How do
gave the
people accept that when you say that? Have you ever had anyone go, well, screw you. Oh, hi, Lucy. Just come on in.
I love
There's
it.
Lucy. Do you how accepting are they when they
Well,
hear this sort of thing?
I will tell you, like 3 of my couples were not accepting at all. Um, One decided to go with another officiant and later on contacted me and said, like, you know, I think you were the first person that really told us not to get married and really go get help that we needed. And I just wanted to let you know that I entered in a very abusive domestic violent relationship. And she sent me a picture of her whole face disfigured from him beating
Oh
on her. But it was
no.
mutual. It was definitely a mutual thing where they were triggering each other. These
And
are
you said you
two
just aren't ready. You didn't point
exact.
one person. So
No,
you don't point one person out.
no, no, no,
Girl,
no.
I don't think he's the one, or fella, you might want to think again. No.
No, no. I just say
Okay.
like, hey, I highly recommend in order for us to continue on this process, for you guys to go get therapy. I see that there's trigger points, you know, how do you handle problems is a very important thing. Well, he likes to throw things. And she likes to throw things at me. Well, I mean, you're co-signing, you're holding space for chaos to happen. Like
Right.
I don't want to be that
You're
person
looking
that
for it. It's
I'm not
like carrying a
co-signing.
gun and
Mhm.
thinking that a situation isn't going to eventually appear where you'll need to use it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Look, we're going to take a brief break. I have a feeling today that somebody watching or that will be watching is in need of a blessing today. So
absolutely.
instead of my sponsorship spaces that are scheduled to go on this, I'll just make it up tomorrow or later in the week. But I'm going to give you a 2-minute blessing. Then we're going to come back. And when we come back, I want to talk about August 31st, September 1st, where the both of us will be at the Tinley Park Convention Center with a bunch of great people
Absolutely.
at the Accelerator Business Summit. And we want to talk about what you're going to be doing there, because I know a couple of people that are watching are planning on coming. And if those of you who are watching don't know anything about it, you might be planning on coming too after that. We'll be right back. Don't you go away. Here comes a blessing. Please receive it. Here we go.
I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, forgive me, thank you.
Hey, welcome back to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. We're here today with Tilsa Fernandez. And before we were sent to the break, I mentioned that we'll both be on the stage together coming up here in Chicago later in the summer. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. So tell everybody what it is you'll be bringing to the Accelerator Business Summit and what can they expect?
Absolutely. So my talk tracks are going to be, well, I created a 3-step system. Step 1, meditate and release toxic poop. Step 2, elevate, right? And step 3, step into your power. So this is definitely, I'm going to be giving talk tracks regarding that and how to step into your divine self and uncovering that. So I'm really, really excited. And wellness, of course, wellness is very, very important. And collabing with everyone, like I'm super excited with Dr. Lauren. Oh my God, like I just can't wait to meet you.
Oh, same here. Same here. I can't wait. I love it. And you guys, I will be providing in the comment section immediately at the conclusion of today's broadcast the link where you can go. And I have a special link where you can get a discount on an already great ticket price. So please consider going and take a look at the wonderful lineup for the 2-day event. It's absolutely wonderful. Shout out and hats off to Martha Raza for this wonderful work she's doing. I wanted to ask you something though. Is it still traditionally wedding season in just like June? What's your busiest time of year as an officiant?
Oh my. To be honest, I don't have a slowdown season because as an officiant, we're able to travel anywhere, right? So I could do it from your home, I could do it at the river, at the beach. It doesn't matter. So I think my slowdown period is more so January, which is funny. But I'm
January.
busy. I do officiate about anywhere between 12 to 25 couples per month, along with my team too. They also have clients that they all see. So it honestly just depends. And I don't particularly marry everybody that comes to me either. I mean, I'm all about customization. So if you want something basic, go to the courthouse. I am not your efficient. If
For
you
that.
want something elevated, if you want, to tap into your roots, I love to take on blended couples, blending faiths, and then giving it that modern twist. I'm your officiant for that. I'm your minister
Speaking of
for that.
modern, so I don't know. I want to know though. What about like LGBT
Absolutely.
couples? You're okay with that?
I absolutely love is love. Let me tell you, when two people that love each other unconditionally, that love affects a 6-block radius. Love has no gender.
I hear you. Now, were you doing this during COVID?
Yes, that's when my business started booming the
So were people getting married virtually?
I had virtual couples, absolutely. I had a combination. That's where the micro weddings blossomed because, all these large venues were closing down and we had to pivot. So a few of my couples decided, oh, we're going to leave. We're going to do a smaller wedding, a micro wedding, and then we'll, do the bigger wedding. But then a lot of people, started canceling or the venue started closing and they're like, absolutely not. So I feel that a ceremony, you should only have people that absolutely love and care for you both. This is a very important ceremony. It's a ritual that you are doing. Why do you want people that you wouldn't necessarily go on holiday with? This is a very sacred and I'm not
Sacred.
pulling religion in there. It's a very sacred beginning
Of
for my
course.
couples. You shouldn't share that with just any regular schmo. I've noticed that a lot of couples that used to be 500-600 attendees are now very, it's a tight knit, and that's what's important.
It is. Now, you reminded me of a time when I interviewed an officiant somewhere from, so I don't remember the name or anything but the story. And it was a woman, and she was telling me how she had gotten called in the middle of the night to go to a hospital bed. And it was 2 men, and they had been together for 70 years, and it had become legal 2 days before for her, and they got married and he died like 6 hours later. And she said it was the most memorable time. So tell us, we got about 2 minutes left. Give us take us out with the most beautiful, memorable opportunity you had to join two people.
Oh my goodness. So recently I had a couple that, actually I have a few. So
I'm sure.
One of them, I will say, two men got married and the family did not want them to get married. And we did a ritual, to release all of that. And I told them, listen, are you guys getting married because you love each other or because you're just rebelling against your family? And they kind of sat back and they're like, well, it's a combination of both. And I'm like, okay, let's remove
We'll
the
show
rebellion.
them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, let's remove that away from. We did work 3 weeks before. We were doing spiritual work to remove all of that, because you don't want to start your relationship with this friction, like we're just together to prove everybody else wrong. So as they started releasing all of that, and they started tuning in the difference, I'm like, what is it that you absolutely love from your significant other? So they started blending that in, and they're like, wow, like I didn't expect to actually find myself within my significant other and do this healing process. So by the time they sent out invitations to everyone, not knowing that their parents were going to come, well, both sides of the family winded up coming together. Why? Because they were doing it from love and not because they were trying to prove anything to anyone. So when you release certain cords, let me tell you, that opens for abundance, that opens for acceptance. And I'm not saying that this is going to be for everyone, but that was one of those moments where I was so unprofessionally crying because I knew what they were working towards and they accomplished that.
And
because
to see it actually come to fruition. That's
Jesus.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. On the screen are two different routes. For those of you who would like to ask questions or just continue the dialogue with Tilsa Fernandez. On the top is the goddesstemple.com with the slashes in between. You'll see that. And scrolling along the bottom, her Facebook. So head over. I have just taken the liberty of dropping one of the two. I will drop the other one at the conclusion, along with the ticket link. Eventbrite for the Accelerator Business Summit coming up August 31st and September 1st, where you can meet both of us in person if you so choose, and a plethora of other great souls. So I just want to thank you so much for heading to the car, and I wish you the best with your alarm situation. And thank you so much for this beautiful work that you're doing. You're welcome back anytime. Just let us know. And I look forward to meeting you in person. If
Absolutely.
Not sooner, definitely the weekend that we're together in Tinley Park here in Chicago. So thank you so
Absolutely.
much. And for those of you who have nothing better to do tomorrow, let me see who's here. Oh, for the next 2 days, we have a husband-wife team. They're both authors, starting with the wife tomorrow. Phyllis Combs is here, followed by her husband on Thursday, James. They are authors, and they've got, James has a cookbook that better eat before you come to the show that day, because I'm going to show pictures from the cookbook, and they are delicious. But join us tomorrow, no matter who's here. You can always count on an illuminated conversation. Now, in closing, as I always say to you, get out there and be the very best version of yourself, and share it with the world, right? We need each other. It's the power of we and not the power of me. I'm Lauren Michaels Harris, and in closing, I say always, and I mean it, I love you. And there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. I'll see you tomorrow. Have the best day ever. Thank you all. Thank you, Tilsa. Great job. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye, all. Have a great one.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need a spell